Well, hey there, Bright Light, and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Shamanism with me, Steffi Funk, where I give you the sacred tools for an extraordinary life in the concrete jungle. So with that, let's dive right into this week's episode, which is all about meditation. But I'm going to give you some alternate strategies to meditating because if you're anything like me, I used to hate to meditate. And as a result, first of all, I would beat myself up about it. I felt like, how could I really be on a spiritual path if I wasn't like watching my breath all day long? And so what I've come to realize though, is that there's all these really great ways to get into a state of meditation and get all the benefits of meditating without actually having to just sit and watch your breath for 15 minutes or more. So let's dive right into 7 strategies now. The first thing I want to talk about is, why are we even bothering to talk about meditation? Like, what are the benefits? First off, meditating is like mental gymnastics for your mind. What I mean by that is you go to the gym to work out your body and you get in better shape. You tone your muscles, your body becomes more responsive, you feel really good in it. Well, the mind without training will absolutely get the best of you. So what meditating does for us is it serves as sort of like a boot camp for the mind to get it into really good shape so that the mind doesn't master you. You learn to master your mind through meditation. And there's all sorts of benefits with that. Like, you feel better because your mind isn't telling you crazy stories that make you feel like shit. You also feel more like you're not always running off with your thoughts, like you are able to be really present. You're not constantly thinking about the future or thinking about the past. And let's see what else. Meditating allows us to sort of clear our cache, right? It's a way of starting our day and just like pressing the reset button. So we're not carrying things from the past into our present. It helps us make better decisions. And my favorite reason to meditate is it actually opens the divine channel. So when we're talking about having really inspired thinking, right? Like thinking that's outside the box, not just the rote mind that is really just like a computer. It can't think outside its own box. Meditating opens us outside of the box, right? So we get really inspired. We connect to our muses, source, divine energy, and novel inspired ideas come in, and all we ever have to do is the next right action in life for our life to unfold in really beautiful ways. So it gives us the space to get the next right action and really connect to our source. So lots of great reasons to meditate, right? Those are huge benefits. So why is it so hard? Well, first of all, controlling our thoughts is no easy feat. And I'm going to tell you something first. Meditating is not about not thinking, okay? So that is our first fallacy that we run into when it comes to meditating that really shuts us down. We think that it's about like not having any thoughts at all, and then we think, I can't possibly do that. I must be a terrible meditator, so I'm not even going to try. It's not about that. It's about having thoughts and then training yourself to come back to your focal point. But again, I'm going to give you really fun ways to do that. So don't worry, we're not talking about just watching your breath here today. But that whole idea of training the mind to be really present is hard. And one of the reasons is that thinking is addictive. Thinking is like crack. It's like, think about like sugar, drinking, all of these things, they distract us from our present moment. Well, thoughts are our favorite way to distract us from our present moment. When we're thinking, we're either in the past or we're in the future. We are not right here. And what's right here is life, right? So if we're trying to avoid negative emotions and really deep stuff, we often will engage in thinking to keep ourselves outside of having to deal with that. So that's one reason why it can feel really, really hard. But again, remember, it's not about not thinking. It's really about strengthening the muscle of being able to come back so you don't get like lost in that rabbit hole of your thoughts. Okay. So another thing I want to share with you guys, we've kind of talked about the benefits. We've talked about why it's hard. But here's 7 strategies that are going to give you an alternative to meditating without actually meditating. And the reason why they work and why they still give you the same benefits is they're still getting you to the same place. So true meditation, what it really does is it gets you present, it gets you focused, so the mind is on one thing instead of on a million different things. And it's all about getting you into the right brain flow state. That is the space of infinite creativity and all of these wonderful things that meditating does for us. So anything that gets us into the right brain flow state is actually getting us into a meditative state. And the last thing that meditation really does is it gives us perspective from the illusion that we're normally stuck in. So what I mean by that is we tend to be really stuck in this idea of like worldly things, right? And we get lost in our thoughts and we aren't awake. But meditating gives us just a few moments to really wake up and say, I remember who I really am. Who I really am is a spiritual being having a human experience. And when we remember that, we just get a moment, like an arm's distance from the human mess, right? And it's okay to be messy. It's okay to be human. It's also really nice to wake up every day and remember who you are and come back to center, because that's where your power is. So being able to like bookend your day by remembering who you really are, no matter how off the rails the day goes, is like really helpful. Okay, so now that we've gone over all the reasons why meditating is so amazing and what it really means to meditate, let's talk about my 7 spiritual strategies that beat the hell out of traditional meditation and still give you the same benefits. Number 1, visualization. So this is one of my favorites. Often when we think of meditating, again, we think of just like sitting in lotus position, watching our breath. What visualization is it's actually like giving your mind something to do and something to think about that's pretty engaging. For example, you can do a visualization exercise on your chakras where you focus on each of the chakras going up. And I can do this on a different video if you feel like you need some help with this. If you think you would like that, comment below. In fact, I have a chakra meditation for you. I will give that to you as a bonus for watching this video. Check it out below. I promise I'll get you that. So you can, clear the chakras. You can do a visualization on clearing your energy space and connecting with various allies, like calling in your allies into your chakras. Like there's a million different ways that you can do visualizations. And if you're still stumped, remember, I will give you some free visualizations here at the end, but you can also do guided meditations. And so guided meditations are where someone is walking you through a visualization. And it's so nice because you get to just sit back, relax, listen, just, your mind does whatever the guided visualization or meditation tells you to do. And it's much more entertaining, in my opinion, than just watching your breath. And it can get you to some really, really cool places. So definitely check out some guided meditations if you don't have any visualizations yourself that you feel really inspired by. The second thing is to get moving. So anytime you are let's say running or snowboarding or water skiing, those are 3 of my favorites, you get into that bit of a flow state, right? So you're like really in your body, your breath is like really going, your heart rate is up, maybe you're listening to some good music, right? You're not really so caught up in the past and the future. You're really like able to surrender into the moment as it is. And so that's another second really great alternative to traditional meditation that still gives you the benefits. Okay, the third thing is, I just mentioned listening to good music, right? We kind of get in those flow states too naturally, like if we're in our car and a good song comes on, we roll the windows down. But another thing you can do is actually listen to music that is like a guided meditation, but it's actually music. So for example, there is the Devi mantra, which is a beautiful 10 minutes of meditation music that I listen to. Oh, hi, Fwink. Fwink really loves talking about meditation. So it's 10 minutes of music that I listen to that when I listen to it, it transports me. And I just kind of am able to let my mind go with the music, and I can literally feel my energy changing as I listen. There's another one called Spirit Rap that gets me there every time when I listen to it. So it's like 5 to 10 minutes of music. You can go longer, that you really just like kind of let yourself get lost in. And I'll try to post a couple links below or some information below on what those two are that I really, really love. All right, number 4. Pray or journal. Okay, so these to me both are like, what they say about prayer is prayer is like speaking to God and meditation is like listening. And so I get that. And prayer also really is meditative, because when you're doing it, you're so focused on what you're asking for or what you're invoking that it really does tend to keep you out of the past and the future and bring on that sort of meditative juiciness and help you remember who you really are as spirit. And journaling kind of does the same thing. It's just instead of spoken word, it's written. So especially if you can carve out some time for yourself in the morning, and just consider that the time in the morning is really the sacred space where you're getting into this like right brain flow state, then it can look like anything you want it to. So if journaling feels good to you and you can kind of like pray to your creator in the terms of journaling, or you just kind of get into a little bit of a writing flow, you're there, you're meditating, you're there. That's it. It's all the benefits we talked about. Okay. The next one is number 6. So praying and journaling was 4 and 5. So number 6 is to paint or create in some way. So anytime you are engaged in a creative activity like painting or like drawing or composing or writing your book, whatever it is, you are also in that meditative flow state. And if you don't feel super creative, something else you can do is play with your kids or play with someone's kids. Kids are so good at being in the present moment and being out of the past and the future that can also be a very beautiful way to get into that flow meditative state as well. And I would also challenge you to, if you don't think you're creative, get outside of that limitation, because you are probably a lot more creative than you think. I didn't start painting till my 30s. I never used to think I was creative, and I couldn't believe it when I finally let myself just go there. And now I paint and I sing and I do all these things that I never thought I could do. So just give it a shot. You have nothing to lose and you have no one to impress. All right. The last thing is number 7 is traditional meditation, but I want to give you a couple little flavors of why it's so awesome. So if you think about it, why I've come to love just traditional meditation, which is silent and just kind of like looking at the blackness behind my eyes and just kind of paying attention to the breath going in and out of my nose. Here's why I've come to love it. 1, it's so quiet there. We live in this like super loud world. Like when I get to finally come to 15 minutes of complete silence, it's like, oh, thank God. I really get to rest into that. The next thing is that it gives me permission to stop thinking. Like I don't have to think for 15 minutes. I don't have to think about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight or what I said to that person that I'm really regretting. It's like I completely get to let all of that go. And that is so refreshing. And then it also can be really helpful when you're in that space of just like kind of like looking at the blackness behind your eyes to just like, instead of, if it's helpful to cultivate a feeling of gratitude while you're in that space. You can just be grateful for the silence. You can be grateful that you don't have to think for 15 minutes. Remember that even if you do think, it's just about coming back. You cannot do it wrong. You absolutely cannot do it wrong. So if you remember that, that can also take some of the heaviness off. Last little tip about traditional meditation is, remember, it's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym and run 8 miles out of the gate on the treadmill. Start in little increments. So start with 1 minute and then 2 minutes and then 3 minutes each day, and just work your way up to 15 minutes. I hope that helps. Inner shaman practice, try one of these. Let me know how it goes. See you soon.